So these are my top 3 tips for sports photography. If you have the budget for a Sony A1 with a 400mm f2.8 or just like a simple point and shoot digital camera, these 3 tips that I tell you will help you on your sports photography journey. Tip 1, get down low. Get down as low as possible. I don't care if you have to dig a hole in the ground to get in there, just get down low. As long as your hips and joints allow you to, luckily mine still do. Obviously the older person, a little bit difficult getting up and down sometimes, but as low as you can get the little telescopic stools that you can fold down or sit on a mat. But obviously sitting down low, the angles just make your photos look so much better and all the action is like coming on top of you. It's brilliant. That is tip 1. Tip 2, this is more from the editing process, but if you can capture it in camera, that will be better. Ideally, you want to fill the frame in your camera. If you don't fill the frame in your camera, then you need to crop tightly in your edits. So if we take a look at Lightroom here, this is a shot I did a few weeks ago. Now this is another example of getting down low. I think I was pretty much sitting down on my arse here. But that is a fantastic shot if I do say so myself. But if you go into the crop area here, look, that picture wasn't captured like that. So this picture was originally captured like that. Now ideally you want to fill the frame. I pretty much filled the frame top and bottom, but at the side here, look, I've cut off a person there. You don't want to cut off people's limbs or anything like that. So in this example here, if you can't fill the frame, you do it in post. So just crop as tightly as possible to the action here to fill the frame. So there's no sort of like area here, like on the area here at the left, it's just offering nothing to the photo. Cropping nicely there. Look at that, that fills the frame nicely. Yeah, so tip 2 is just crop nice and tight to the action, not leaving any sort of blank spaces and stuff. Ideally, do that in the camera, but sometimes it's not always possible. Now, if there are any questions of people saying, yeah, but my camera is only 12 megapixels, my camera is as well. I use the Sony a7S III. I'm filming on it at the moment. It's a more video-centric camera, but you can take photos like I have done here, and you can see how brilliant they are. I mean, look, there's another one, look. I could have cropped him on the right here, look. I mean, I can still do that if I want to. Look. But I wanted to give a bit more variation to the client. I already sent them a picture like that. So I sent them a picture with another person in the picture as well. So same again here, look, the jumping, I left him there. If you like AI, some people don't, but you can go ahead and just remove them. It might be a little bit distracting in the photo. 3, 2, 1. Bang, gone, look at that. So that's another option as well. If you're into AI, if you're that techie into AI, you can do that as well. Look, and I've cropped, look at that. And that's a 12.1 megapixel sensor on the Sony a7S III. So obviously there are limitations to how far you can crop because you lose a little bit of detail. But I mean, if you've got like a 12 megapixel sensor like I have, it's not done a bad job there at all. Okay, tip number 3, master one setting at a time. I know it's quite daunting if you're going to go automatic or manual on your camera. There's ISO to consider, there's your aperture, there's your shutter speed, there's the main 3 settings. If I was to offer any advice, I would concentrate maybe on shutter speed. So shutter speed is what's going to freeze that action, so there's no sort of blur. Now, since I've been shooting all the way up to 1/2000, 1/3000 sometimes, to really freeze that action, especially high-speed sports. It might not just be football. But if you're shooting football and rugby or something like that, and especially for the kids game where they're not as fast and athletic, you can get away with shooting at 1/800. And that will still freeze the action just fine. And just experiment with the different shutter speeds, 1/800. If it's quite bright out, you can do 1/1000, 1/2000. If it's really bright outside. But if you're shooting indoors, like in a gym or something like that, then yeah, 1/800 is probably the lowest that I would go for. And then yeah, set your aperture and your ISO to automatic. Then once you're confident and you understand what the shutter speed is, then you can start maybe like your aperture settings. But obviously aperture does really depend on what sort of lens you have. If you do go for the more premium, expensive lenses, then you can get f2.8, which seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of sports photographers, f2.8 and above really. f2.8 is perfect for indoor work as well, outdoor, but low light situations. And a lot of the zoom lenses you do get, maybe the cheaper ones, might be f4 or f5.6, f6.5. And obviously with those settings, then it's going to obviously reduce the brightness in the image. It's going to be a little bit darker. So it really does depend on budget, but master one setting at a time. Start with shutter speed and then go from there. So I hope I haven't blabbed on too much, but they are my top 3 tips just to get started. No matter what budget you're on, follow those 3 tips. If you have any tips yourself, pop them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them, I'd love to read them. But yeah, if you have any questions as well, pop them in the comments. But thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.